the time today.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Super glad to have you. So, for those of you who don't know Kenny, but who doesn't know Kenny, Kenny, can you just remind people what your job is here at?
I am from the Keystone Alliance,
Mhm.
which is the business office for Search. And in 2011, I started as benefits coordinator, and now my fancy title is now benefits manager. So hooray for that. Before 2011, I did work at Search. I worked at the front desk. Maybe some of you remember me.
Right.
I was the old Debbie.
Kenny, do you do like search staff benefits, the residence benefits, or both?
I sure do both. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, it's a big job, but yeah, I handle the health, dental, vision, life insurance for all of the employees of Search, and then of course for the individuals, for all of the residents at Search. Um, I handle anything that falls under benefits: Social Security, SSI, Medicaid, Medicare, dash cards, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and anything under the sun that you could consider a benefit.
I love that we're having you on here because sometimes, these things just seem to come out of nowhere and they seem to be mechanical and roboty and not real, but there are people working behind the scenes, everybody, like with your SSI and your dash card. Kenny makes sure that Kenny's the one that makes sure everybody has their receipts so that we can make sure that nobody is exploiting your money or misusing your money. So when did we have you on last time, Kenny?
It was quite a while ago. I want to say it was about a year ago, maybe.
Okay. And I remember that the last time you came on, there was a lot of discussion and a desire to, the whole thing was like, hey, it's the end of the month and the money's not on my dash card. Where, the turnover for the dash card was an issue that people were having trouble with. And I believe that since that time, you have made some changes to the way the system works to make it a little bit smoother and better for our folks. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
So yeah, when I was last on here, things were a little chaotic. You know, the dash cards were not being loaded until probably 2 weeks into the month, and that was way too long to wait for your money. The major holdup was that we were waiting for receipts to roll in from the houses. The interoffice mail is sometimes very slow. It kind of sits around at Kensington for a minute, and then, you know, uh, then it comes over to Clybourne. And sometimes we're waiting like a week to get the mail. So that was the old way of doing it. We would wait for the receipts. We would count up all the receipts and say, okay, Joe Schmo spent uh, $60 in April, so we're going to load his card with $60 for May, and then finally, halfway through May, he would get his money. So now we've made a major improvement, and this has been going on for a while. Maybe you've noticed that the card reloads are happening much sooner now. I would say, generally speaking, the cards are reloaded by the 5th of the following month. And how did we do that? Well, being the benefits manager, I have special powers of seeing, everybody's purchase activity. I can still go online and and tally up how much you've spent in the previous month. But let me say, it is still very, very, very important for us to have those physical paper receipts.
It's to protect the benefit, right, Kenny?
Exactly. So the folks at Social Security come around every, I want to say 3 years. I hope it's not 2 years. They come around every 2 to 3 years, let's say. They pull a random group of, I want to say it's 20 individuals, and they will look back a whole year and say, give us everything you got for these 20 people, and whatever they spent from their dash card or their trust fund, we want to see the receipts. Okay, it's not enough to go and log into the dash portal, because that's only going to show us certain information like where and when the money was spent. It's not going to show you what you spent the money on, and that's what really matters to Social Security. They want to ensure that your money is being spent appropriately on, items that are for you.
It's to protect, to make sure, to protect your money from other people using it for their own purposes. It's to make sure that it's being used legally. So there is a reason behind that. Okay, so we keep our receipts. So and what I'm hearing you say now is, instead of waiting until the 10th of the month to put the money back on the dash card, you kind of do it by about the 5th and then get the receipts to do that part of it. Okay, but let's talk about the $60 a month. People ask, can we get more than $60 on our dash card?
It is the state of Illinois that decides how much is your personal needs allowance, PNA for short. And for a few years now, it has been $60 per month. The rest of your Social Security or SSI goes to pay for room and board charges at Search. That personal needs allowance informed our decision to grant you up to $60 per month on your dash card as an ongoing pattern. Okay. You don't have any special requests. You're just, needing access to your personal needs allowance every month. So we decided we're going to cap it at 60 because, again, it comes down to protecting your money. We don't want to keep putting 60 on there regardless of, let's say you don't spend it for a few months and then it just keeps piling up. 60 becomes 120, becomes 180, becomes blah, blah, blah. So what happens if your card gets stolen? They could go shopping and not use a PIN number, and there goes 3 or 4 months of your money. By capping it at 60, we minimize the risk of theft. Now, yeah, Jennifer, you were going to say, how can I get more than 60 on my card for a certain thing? It's just a special request. Now, we do have to look and see, do you have the money available? Okay, because the dash money comes from your trust. If you have the money in your trust account and say you want, I don't know, $100 to spend on, going out to dinner, put in a request with your staff at the house. Okay, coordinator. The coordinator of your house is ultimately the person who puts in the request, or the manager. And then we can get money on the card. It usually times out so that we have money on the card by Friday. Okay, but we do need the request by Tuesday of that week.
yes, you can have more money put on your card, but only if you have the money in your trust funds. If you've spent all of your trust funds on Manasseh or a a dental procedure or just living expenses and you don't have it, he's not going to put the extra money on there. It's if you have it, and you kind of you have to request an amount for it, right? And then it's not overnight. So if you have something coming up, or if you're saving money for something, go ahead and put in the request ahead of time. You can't say, hey, I need that money on there, Kenny, tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way right now, right, Kenny?
Right, because there is a process, as much power as people tend to think I have.
Oh, he has power, y'all,
I,
believe.
I have a little bit of power.
Yeah.
Okay. But it still has the request goes to Jaime first. And Jaime, if you don't know him, he's a lovely gentleman who works here at Clybourne, and he checks to see if there's money in your trust. If there's money in the trust, he sends the request to Robert. Robert is our head of the accounting department. Robert has to tally up all the special requests because it's not just yours. There's going to be 5 or 6 other special requests for the week. He tallies those up. He pulls the money from Search's main account and sends it to the Dash portal. And then the next day, it's like an overnight thing. It's not even immediately accessible. So I mean, I'm getting lost in the weeds here, but I just wanted to illustrate that it's not an immediate process where I can just say, boom, here's $100 extra on your Dash card.
Yeah, and you guys, that's pretty, that's not really just a Dash card thing. That's just an adulting thing. If I have a big special purchase, I can't, sometimes I have to make arrangements ahead of time with my bank or with my credit union to get the money moved. So it's just to protect your money. Yep. So Kenny, what happens when a Dash card expires?
Right. So in an ideal world, you would have already received a new card to replace the old one. As soon as I heard that Sycamore House cards were expired, I contacted the Dash customer support team, and they said, "Oh yeah, we mailed out replacement cards on April 25th."
What?
And
Yeah.
that, I know, that was like no time. So I'm complaining to them. I will complain to them that it's not enough time.
Said
So
they mailed it out, which doesn't even mean it was in the post office. They mailed it out on April 25th when it expired on the 29th. So by the time, it probably hadn't even gotten there on the last day of April.
right, and you probably still don't have them yet because Dash is mailing all the replacement cards to Clybourne. I have to simply look for them, find them, and get them out to you. I will complain on your behalf that it's not acceptable that they would mail a new card with a week in advance of the card expiring. That's not enough time.
And luckily, Search has petty cash in the houses, so there's never going to be like, we can't get anything at all. Like that's what that money is for. So, but if you're hearing us, if there's a delay in getting the new one, it's not Kenny's fault. It's not Search's fault. It's Dash's fault. So, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Kenny, thank you so much. You're a rock star.
Thank you.
All right, bye guys. Thank you.